Before I begin my story, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like. It truly helps me share more stories like this with you. My name is Olivia, and this is the story of how I almost lost my husband, and how, against all odds, we found our way back to each other. When James and I got married, I thought we were unstoppable. I was 25, he was 27, and the world felt like something we could conquer hand in hand. We had the perfect photographs, the perfect vows, the perfect promises whispered in candlelight. Our early years were full of laughter, late night drives, shared dreams about houses and children, and vacations we couldn't afford yet. We weren't just partners, we were best friends, but life has a way of wearing even the strongest bonds down. By the time we had been married for 15 years, we were parents of 2 teenagers, working full-time jobs, and drowning in bills, deadlines, and exhaustion. James worked long hours in finance, often bringing his stress home like an invisible storm cloud. I juggled teaching, housework, and the endless needs of our children. Slowly, without either of us noticing, we stopped talking about anything that wasn't logistics. Bills, groceries, school schedules, romance slipped away quietly, like water leaking through cracks. Dinners became silent. Touches became rare. Arguments became routine. And I began to feel invisible in my own marriage. It came to a breaking point one evening. James came home late again, distracted and curt. I confronted him about never being present, about how I felt like I was raising our children alone. He snapped back that he was killing himself to provide for us, that I didn't appreciate his sacrifices. We screamed. Years of resentment poured out in words we could never take back. Finally, I shouted what had been sitting in my chest for years: maybe we're better off apart. The silence after that was deafening. For the next weeks, our house was cold. We spoke only when necessary. Our children noticed, of course. They asked if we were okay, and we lied. But one night, after the kids were asleep, James sat across from me at the kitchen table and said quietly, "Maybe you're right. Maybe we need space." We decided on a trial separation. He moved into a small apartment near his office. The first night without him felt like a relief and a wound all at once. I thought I'd feel free, but instead, I felt hollow. In the weeks that followed, I tried to rebuild myself. I joined a yoga class, spent more time with friends, threw myself into work. James, meanwhile, saw the kids on weekends. When he came to pick them up, our conversations were civil, almost polite, but behind every word was a mountain of things unsaid. Then something happened that changed everything. One Saturday, he came to drop the kids off and lingered a little longer than usual. I noticed he had lost weight, dark circles under his eyes. As he hugged our daughter goodbye, he whispered something that made her giggle. And in that moment, watching him with her, I saw the man I had fallen in love with all those years ago, the man who once stayed up all night building a crib, the man who used to leave love notes on sticky notes around the house. After he left, I sat in my quiet living room and cried. Because I realized I didn't just miss him, I missed us. A week later, he called and asked if we could talk. Not about logistics. Not about the kids. About us. We met at a small cafe we used to frequent when we were dating. It was awkward at first, like speaking to a stranger, but then he sighed and said, "Liv, I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose this family. I know I've failed. I stopped seeing you. I stopped hearing you. But I still love you. I've always loved you." Tears streamed down my face. Because I had been waiting years to hear those words. I told him my truth, that I felt invisible, unappreciated, unloved. And for the first time in years, he didn't argue. He just listened. That was the night we decided to try again. Rebuilding wasn't easy. We started therapy together. At first, it was painful, digging through wounds, unlearning patterns we had built over years. But slowly, we began to understand each other again. James learned to put down his phone when I spoke, to truly listen. I learned to express my needs without letting them fester into explosions. We scheduled weekly date nights, even if it was just sitting on the couch with a glass of wine and no distractions. One evening, months into our effort to rebuild, James surprised me. He came home early, cooked dinner, a terrible overcooked salmon, but when we sat down, he handed me a small box. Inside was a simple gold band. "I know we're already married," he said, his voice trembling. "But I want to ask you again, now that I understand what it really means. Will you marry me again, Olivia? Not the way we did when we were young and naive, but now, with all the scars, with all the lessons, with all the love that's still here." I said yes, through tears. And we renewed our vows the following summer, barefoot on a beach with just our kids and a handful of close friends. We promised not perfection, but persistence. Not fairy tales, but truth. Not just love, but attention. Now, years later, I can honestly say that nearly losing my marriage taught me how to truly cherish it. James and I still argue sometimes, but our arguments no longer break us. they remind us of the work we are both willing to do. We laugh more now. We touch more. We choose each other, over and over, with full knowledge of how close we came to letting go. I tell this story because so many people think a broken marriage can't be healed. But sometimes, broken things can be mended stronger than before. Sometimes, endings can become beginnings. And sometimes, love deserves a second chance. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and give this video a like. Your support helps me share more stories like this one. Thank you for listening.